the headlines of VTV News. Cambodia-Laos-Vietnam Parliamentary cooperation promoted. Over 300 Vietnamese in Myanmar conflict zone repatriated. And in our world news, UN General Assembly passes resolution on non-deployment of weapons in space.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, VTV News starts right now.
Hello there, this is VTV News broadcast live at 8 a.m. local time, and I'm Lena Phap with the top news of the hour. State President Vo Van Thuong and the Da Nang City National Assembly delegation met with voters after the 6th session of the 15th National Assembly. More in the following.
Listening to voters' opinions and statements from National Assembly deputies at the meeting, the state president shared that although the regional and world situation is complicated and unpredictable, with the efforts of the entire party, people, and army, the country has achieved many important achievements. At the meeting, the state president also discussed a number of issues of concern to voters.
There are many cases where the main force involved in anti-corruption work, such as inspection, testing, and auditing commits violations. We proposed the National Assembly to strengthen supervision of anti-corruption work.
This issue has also been directed by the party General Secretary many times, that is, we must fight negativity and corruption in the Anti-Corruption and Negativity Agency. In 2023 alone, to concretize that direction, the party recently issued two very important regulations. The first is the regulation on controlling power to prevent corruption and negativity in investigation, prosecution, and execution of sentences. The second regulation is to control power in inspection, examination, and auditing.
The streamlining of secondary education is too inadequate. It is recommended that the National Assembly ministries pay attention to innovating the content and methods of career guidance.
Streamlining education from secondary school is a very important content so that the children can maximize their strengths and abilities. For those whose abilities and learning conditions cannot yet meet the requirements for higher education, we will separate them to other paths and become useful people who are able to take care of themselves and their families. For example, orienting them towards vocational training to become workers is also a very good direction.
On Tuesday morning, State President Vo Van Thuong visited and met with the Command of Military Region 5, Ministry of National Defense. State President Vo Van Thuong inspected the combat readiness of the 574th Armored Brigade in Quế Sơn District, Quảng Nam Province. He expressed his hope that the brigade will continue to uphold its traditions, foster unity in will and action, enhance vigilance and combat readiness, and remain mobile in successfully accomplishing assigned tasks while coordinating effectively with other forces to maintain security and order in the area. Recognizing the strategic importance of the region, the state president urged the military region to thoroughly study and understand Resolution 8 of the 13th Central Committee, which outlines the strategy for homeland protection in the new situation. He emphasized the need for realistic forecasting, training, and drills to maintain proactive readiness in all situations. The Vietnamese party, state government, and people highly value the stable, sustainable, and long-term development of strategic partnership with Malaysia. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính told Malaysian Minister of Defense Dato Seri Utama Haji Mohammed bin Haji Hassan during a reception in Hanoi on December the 4th. The Prime Minister suggested Malaysia assist Vietnam in having yellow card warning lifted, developing the halal industry, and opening the door for Vietnam Vietnamese halal products, informing his guests about Vietnam's foreign policy and the four-nose defense policy. He affirmed that the Vietnamese government always creates the most favorable conditions for the development of cooperation between the two defense ministries. He wished that, as two active and influential members of ASEAN, Malaysia and Vietnam would continue to support and propose practical initiatives and actions to uphold the internal solidarity and centrality of ASEAN in the regional security architecture. Earlier on December the 4th morning, Defense Minister General Phan Van Giang received and held talk with Malaysian Minister of Defense Dato Seri Utama Haji Mohammed bin Haji Hassan. The Vietnamese Defense Minister General stressed that his Malaysian counterpart's visit will provide a new impetus that helps the bilateral defense ties to thrive in the future. As close neighbors in Southeast Asia, Vietnam and Malaysia have supported each other in many important international issues, he said, adding both nations are carrying out an action plan for the implementation of the strategic partnership during the 2021 to 2025 period in all fields, including defense cooperation. The Malaysian Defense Minister, for his part, highlighted the Vietnam-Malaysia defense ties have developed over the past time on the basis of the Memorandum of Understanding on Defense Cooperation signed in 2008 and the strategic partnership established in 2015. The first Cambodia-Laos-Vietnam Parliamentary Summit opened in Vientiane, Laos on December the 5th with the participation of more than 350 delegates representing the National Assemblies, ministries and localities of the three countries. National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ led a high-ranking Vietnamese National Assembly delegation to attend the summit.
Opening the summit, Chairman of the Lao National Assembly, Zan Pomelo affirmed that the first Cambodia-Laos-Vietnam Parliamentary Summit had historical significance in the cooperation between the three countries' parliaments. It was implemented in the spirit of the joint declaration of the three National Assembly chairmen signed on November 20th last year in Phnom Penh, Cambodia.
I call on delegates to exchange creative approaches, propose measures to strengthen cooperation through the National Assembly of the countries, both central and local levels. It is expected to contribute to promoting economy, trade, and stabilizing the security and society of the three countries in general and localities in the region.
At the plenary session, National Assembly Chairman Vong Dinh Huay emphasized that the relationship of solidarity, friendship, closeness, and political trust between the three countries of Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam is an invaluable heritage with long-term strategic significance in the cause of construction, protection, and development of the three countries. National Assembly Chairman Vong Dinh Huay also asked the National Assembly of the three countries to strengthen close coordination and support each other at international and regional forums, perfecting and creating a legal corridor to create breakthroughs in cooperation, strengthening the connection of the three economies.
The first CLV Parliamentary Summit is an important milestone, opening a new page in cooperation between the three legislative bodies, completing the three triangular peaks of the CLV cooperation mechanism, head of three parties, prime ministers of three countries and now chairs of three parliaments. During the meeting this morning, the President of Laos called this a three-legged stool, contributing to deepening the sustainable friendship and solidarity between the three countries.
Sharing at the summit, representatives of international organizations highly appreciated the parliamentary cooperation between the three countries and pledged to continue supporting the three countries Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam for sustainable development, contributing to maintaining peace, stability, and cooperation in the region.
Also on December the 5th, National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ met with the Vietnamese business community in Laos. The Lao Deputy Prime Minister Selumsay Komsasis, Vice Chairman of the Lao National Assembly Somat Fonsena, representatives of the Ministry of Planning and Investment of Vietnam and Laos, and about 160 Vietnamese businesses operating in Laos attended the event.
Currently, Vietnam has about 417 investment projects in Laos, with a value of $4.6 billion in many fields such as agriculture, energy, mining, and a number of other services. Vietnam is currently a third-largest investor in Laos. At the meeting, businesses expressed their joy because after the meeting last May with the chairman of the National Assembly, various difficult projects and long-standing problems were focused on and resolved by the ministries and branches of the two countries. Listening to and recording the opinions of businesses, National Assembly Chairman Vong Dinh Quay highly appreciated many projects of Vietnamese businesses that are doing well, contributing positively in many aspects to Laos' economy and society.
Vietnam and Laos' solidarity is unique and one of a kind. This is a priceless asset that we must preserve forever. Various generations of leaders of the two countries have worked hard to build it, and it is our responsibility to promote it and pass it on to future generations. Another wish of the business community as well as the leaders of the two countries is how to create a breakthrough in developing trade relations between the two countries.
The chairman of the National Assembly also appreciated the recommendations of businesses at the meeting, especially when the meeting of the Intergovernmental Committee of the two countries is about to take place. The National Assembly chairman affirmed that the National Assembly and the government of the two countries desire to strengthen economic connectivity not only between Vietnam and Laos, but also the entire region.
Japanese businesses are increasingly entering the Vietnamese market with a focus on both manufacturing and distribution. This reflects their commitment to optimizing operations and supply chains. Many retail and consumer brands from Japan are seeking growth in Vietnam despite the challenges present in the market.
Uniqlo, the Japanese fashion brand, has experienced significant expansion in Vietnam over the past 4 years. The number of stores has nearly quadrupled, and the company now employs around 1,000 individuals. Fast Retailing, Uniqlo's parent company, recognizes Vietnam as a crucial production hub and intends to collaborate with more local factories. The company's objective is to increase the availability of made-in-Vietnam products in its domestic stores.
Vietnam has been both a customer and a production market for over 20 years. Products manufactured in Vietnam are not only sold in 22 domestic stores but also in over 2,400 stores globally.
According to the Japan External Trade Organization, Vietnam stands out as a unique market for Japanese businesses.
Many Japanese companies are interested in a manufacturing sector because they now considering to diversify their manufacturing facility all over the world.
The stable market in Vietnam is the main reason why foreign brands are making long-term plans in the country. Additionally, Vietnam has a young population.
Several Japanese investors, such as Aeon and Uniqlo, are opting to enhance their business operations by improving both production and retail processes in Vietnam. Many foreign investors are planning to expand production and distribution in Vietnam due to a positive market outlook and the benefits of free trade agreements. However, this advantage may not last long as both domestic and foreign retailers adapt their operations. Currently, entering the Vietnamese market provides cost advantages for Japanese retail companies, as Vietnam serves as both a production and consumer market.
The first batch of Zan Pomelos weighing 16 tons, part of an order of 48 tons from Luang Son district of the northern province of Hoa Binh, was exported to the United States on December the 5th. This is the second year Hoa Binh has exported Zan Pomelos, but there is a significant difference compared to December 2022, when only one container was flown to the UK. This year, the province has received orders for the pomelo from several EU countries and 3 orders from the US, affirming the expansion of export markets and the rapid increase in the export volume of agricultural products from Hoa Binh. At present, the pomelo tree is becoming a key crop in Hòa Bình. Local agencies and localities support pomelo growers by expanding the areas that are granted identification codes, regularly monitoring food safety and those subject to plant quarantine, enhancing training for farmers and supplying essential supplies for production. Coming up next, over 300 Vietnamese in Myanmar conflict zone are repatriated. And Vietnam manufactures equipment for world's largest green hydrogen project. You're watching VTV News. Following the government's direction, 338 Vietnamese citizens stranded in the conflict zone in the north of Myanmar were safely evacuated on Monday. The repatriation, aiming to ensure absolute safety for citizens, was conducted under the government's direction by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Public Security, relevant agencies of Vietnam, and partner countries. All repatriation fees were covered by the government.
At 1:45 a.m. Monday morning, 3 flights landed safely at Noi Bai International Airport. These are the first citizens to be brought home. Most of them are young people, including teenagers, newborn children, and pregnant women who work in online gambling establishments. They were abandoned by their employers and trapped at facilities due to the conflict between Myanmar military forces and ethnic groups.
It's been a long flight, but I feel very happy. The embassy has been very thoughtful in bringing us home. I am very grateful to the embassy.
I am very grateful and happy to be able to return to Vietnam.
In the context of the current situation in Myanmar where fighting continues, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will continue to coordinate with relevant agencies and authorities of Myanmar and partner countries to bring Vietnamese citizens home.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs once again recommends that Vietnamese citizens need to be alert to offers to work abroad for illegal jobs. They need to carefully learn about the job content, unit, and expected working location, insurance policy, and benefits before deciding to go there.
So far, the Vietnamese embassy in Myanmar has counted more than 800 people who are Vietnamese citizens, have been granted travel documents, and are eligible to return home. The citizens will be divided into several groups and brought home in the next 3 days.
On December the 5th morning, a complex of the first 4 made-in-Vietnam electrolysis models was shipped to Saudi Arabia for the large hydrogen plant in the country. The Vietnam Machinery Installation Corp Joint Stock Company, or VTVgo, is one of the first enterprises in the world to participate in the global green hydrogen production supply chain. Electrolysis models produced by Vietnam for the NEOM Green Hydrogen project in Saudi Arabia use 100% renewable energy sources from wind and solar power to provide 600 tons of green hydrogen per day to replace fossil energy sources and reduce CO2 emissions. According to the plan, all 110 modules for the NEOM Green Hydrogen project will be completed and handed over in mid-2025. The authorities of Quảng Nam province have developed a plan to protect, respond to, and prevent ship sinking incidents and oil spills in order to ensure the safety of the Cù Lao Chàm Sea area. 4 days ago, the King Rich ship sailing under the flag of Sierra Leone and transporting oil encountered a problem and drifted into this province. Taking advantage of the hot weather on Monday, the border guard of Guam province managed to reach the ship and promptly deployed a buoy to prevent oil spills. The ship currently has a total of 8 oil tanks, which are used to power its engine. The bow of the ship is damaged and the equipment is non-functional. However, there have been no signs of oil leakage. Aquaculture and ecotourism, when combined, not only open up new development opportunities, but also increase people's income. Many local households have taken advantage of the weather of the water surface and majestic natural landscape to develop fish cage farming associated with tourism development, resulting in high economic efficiency. More on this in the following.
In addition to selling fish to traders, Nga's family also utilizes their space for experiential tourism. Consequently, her family is able to produce and sell 5 tons of fish annually. The selling price of fish for the food service industry is $1.24 per kilogram higher than the wholesale trade price.
We have combined aquaculture with tourism to boost fish production. The output of our business is ensured.
Currently, Nga's family owns 48-seat boat that is licensed to operate. In order to expand their business, they need to invest in more boats. However, this poses a challenge for most locals as they require an investment capital of $12,000 to $20,000 for a standard boat. To address this issue, 2 projects with a loan amount of $20,600 each have been established with a preferential interest rate for the period 2022 to 2024.
In the future, we plan to increase the amount of loan capital and expand production for the business and service industries. This will allow our members to access more capital at preferential interest rates, ultimately increasing the income.
We will guide households to comply with regulations for livestock farming combined with tourism. They will gradually learn from the experience as well.
Currently, there are nearly 5,000 fish cages on Hoa Binh hydroelectric lake, producing an average annual output of nearly 10,000 tons. In the future, the local authorities will encourage households to specialize in raising fish according to VTVgo standards and support the development of aquaculture in conjunction with tourism.
Raising children is a long journey that requires a lot of effort and love from parents. For families having children with cerebral palsy, this journey becomes even more difficult. In the following report, let's listen to the story of a journey of a mother encouraging her son with a cerebral palsy to overcome the disease.
A week after he was born, he had a high fever. The doctor diagnosed that the child had a blood infection and jaundice. Only a blood transfusion could save his life. At his 3rd month, when he was examined again, the doctor diagnosed him with cerebral palsy.
The mother's heart was broken when she knew that her child had cerebral palsy. The child cannot develop, move, or speak normally. In order for her child to be able to call his mother's name, Phie and her son had to spend 9 long years practicing. And for the boy to be able to practice riding and walk on his own feet, a lot of sweat and tears were shed.
I had to use elastic bandages to wrap his hand and the pen. Then I helped him practice writing each letter. I remember the times when I tried to teach my child to walk. He was in pain and cried so much, but he still tried very hard. By the age of 12 or 13, he took his first step. I feel very happy because he was able to do it.
Mở một phòng livestream.
À, muốn mở một phòng livestream mà. Làm YouTuber hả?
During the past 20 years, they hasn't missed any training sessions. It is impossible to describe all the efforts and sacrifices of both of them. Now, the boy not only knows how to do personal stuff and play on the computer, but also achieves many achievements in school.
He is very smart. He absorbed the lesson very quickly. It was hard to hear what he speaks, but in math he does very well. He receives excellent certificate every year.
The efforts and achievements that her child has achieved make Phie even more hopeful for the future. Her child can be independent and integrate into life. Now, her son is working as an office worker at Vietnam's Cerebral Palsy Family Association in Hanoi. He now can make his own videos to post on social networks. For a mother like Phie, it is truly a huge happiness.
Coming up next in our world news, Southeast Asia Forum held in Paris. And UN General Assembly passes resolution on non-deployment of weapons in space. The Southeast Asia Forum, chaired by the French Senate, was held on Monday in Paris, France. Over 200 businesses from France and ASEAN countries attended the forum. The forum was organized with the purpose of strengthening cooperation between France and ASEAN countries, especially Vietnam. Vietnam has the advantage of being the only country in Southeast Asia that both has a free trade agreement with the EU and participated in the Joint Declaration on Just Energy Transition Partnership, or JETP, with the EU and G7 countries. These factors will help Vietnam become an effective bridge for ASEAN and partner countries. On the sidelines of the forum, a roundtable discussion dedicated to Vietnam took place with participation of major French oil and energy groups, including Perenco Electricité de France, or EDF, Air Liquide Hydrogen de France, or HDF. The UN General Assembly on Monday passed the resolution on non-deployment of weapons in space introduced by Russia. The resolution, titled "No First Placement of Weapons in Outer Space," was supported by 127 countries. The document was co-authored by Belarus, China, Cuba, North Korea, and Egypt. It calls on all states, especially those who possess space potential, to consider an option to adopt a political obligation to not be the first one to deploy weapons in space. The resolution also calls for prompt beginning of the work on the draft agreement on prevention of deployment of weapons in space. A large area of Europe is covered in white snow. This winter is bringing with its increasing amounts of snowfall. At Munich Airport, Germany's second largest airport and an important transit hub for international air traffic, had to temporarily suspend operations on Tuesday morning due to icy and slippery runways. More than 300 flights were cancelled. About 1,500 passengers were stranded at Munich Airport. In the UK, heavy snowfall caused traffic jams. 200 cars were stuck on the road in Cumbria, the north of the country. While in Moscow, temperatures are forecast to drop to minus 18 degrees Celsius in the coming days. According to experts at the German Weather Service, climate change may cause less snow frequency, but more snowfall. Egypt recently reopened the Imhotep Museum in the Saqqara necropolis after completing restoration work. Considered one of the most significant archaeological museums in Egypt, the Imhotep Museum attracted many visitors after reopening.
The museum is dedicated to Imhotep, the ancient Egyptian architect who built the Saqqara pyramid, and houses one of the oldest royal mummies in Egypt, according to Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, Mustafa Waziri.
We have one of the oldest royal mummies in Egypt, Myanmar, the fourth king of the 6th dynasty. The museum also houses some of the oldest surgical tools in the world, made of bronze and copper that are around 4,400 years old.
The museum, spanning an area of 1,500 square meters, features 6 halls showcasing a total of 286 artifacts displayed in 27 showcases. Its collection ranges from statues, vessels, and stelae, to monument building and burial tools, most of which were excavated in Saqqara. The necropolis has been enlisted as a UNESCO World Heritage Site together with the pyramid complexes of Giza and Dashur.
And at the heart of this advancement in the sciences of engineering was an Egyptian builder called Imhotep. And this museum cherishes and presents the story of Imhotep to the world.
Located in an area of about 1,500 square meters, the museum was opened in 2006 until it was closed for renovation work in March 2022 by Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities.
And up next is the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you for watching and see you again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.